during this period, 1993, I started, I guess, crafting the next chapter, right, for me. And I'd always been really intrigued by the military. Both my grandfathers were World War II vets. So my maternal grandfather was a tank commander in World War II, and he was kind of my introduction to like military stuff, and I'm a little kid, so I'm intrigued by it. Like, tank commander, that's cool. Like, on D-Day, he was an E4 corporal, like gunner on a Sherman tank. On VE Day, his unit had made it all the way to Vienna, and he was a company commander. And it was just survival, like attrition. Like, I'm sure he was a fine soldier, but it was just attrition that he went from corporal to captain in, a year or whatever. My grandmother's second husband was a corpsman in the Navy, so his story is super funny. Like, he grew up in this small town on the Columbia River in Washington State. So I think there was like 20 dudes in his graduating class in high school. And so they graduated June 1942. So right after graduation, like 201, like every male in his class went to the recruiter and enlisted. And so he went in the Navy. His Navy MOS was like a pharmacist mate or something like that. So he's like, oh, I'll be on the ship, like working in the dispensary or whatever. Like, wrong. Like, he graduates, like they give him a helmet and attach him to a Marine platoon, infantry platoon, and like, you're the medic. And so he did like 7 amphibious assaults in the Pacific. Like, crazy stuff, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it was super hard. And he had amazing stories, And then my father's father was in the Coast Guard, and he did a lot of coastal patrolling, Oregon coast, Washington coast, Columbia River during the war, just, looking for Japanese subs or whatever.
And so because you had this sort of wanderlust that made you want to go trek in the Himalayas, and you had this family, this background in the military, you were thinking that this would be something that would be adventurous or intriguing to you?
Yeah, like I've always had a taste for like high adventure, like as a child, like probably even before I was school. So like Saturday morning cartoons. Like, how old are you?
55.
Yeah, we're the same age. So I imagine probably grew up with similar cultural influences. So I remember in the like mornings watching TV shows, like cartoons, like Johnny Quest was the big one, right? Mm-hmm. Speed Racer, Marine Boy, like all this, and Speed Racer and Marine Boy were anime, but they were like great. Marine Boy was basically Speed Racer but underwater. It's just super cool, fantastical stuff. Great to feed the imagination. Like the writing for Johnny Quest was so good, and like the show in retrospect was like kind of progressive. It's like Johnny had 2 dads. And like they had this like multiracial like composite family. Like it was like, but the writing was so solid, like super creative. I think it was only 26 episodes, but each episode is distinct and well written and just cool, So I would watch this as a kid and be like, I'm not sure what that is, but I want to do that. So that was kind of the initial impetus for like, and then growing up in the woods in Western Washington, like I was expected, I was kicked outside after breakfast and not expected to be seen again till dinner time. And what I did between then was like on me. And so I'd go out and do stupid stuff like climb high tension power lines, to the top, like 5, 6 years old, like so stupid. Right. But it was like, oh, this is cool. My mother, she definitely facilitated this stuff, like, much to her credit. Like, we'd go camping, in the Olympic rainforest on the peninsula, and there's like a couple rivers there, but one of the main ones is the Hoh River. And I had this, as a child, I had this $20, Kmart inflatable raft with the oars. And my mom would drive me upriver like 10 miles or 15 miles or whatever in our Volkswagen bus, and like drop me off, me and my $20 Kmart boat and a life vest, and she'd be like, all right, see you at the campground. And so I would be doing this like, you know, whitewater rafting by myself in my cheesy little boat for several miles, and, you know, didn't drown obviously, but it kind of instilled again this, or reinforced this sense of adventure, you know.